Hey, Amazon sellers. I want to share something that can completely change the way you run your business. For the last decade, I've built a world-class Amazon team that's helped me sell over $50 million on the platform and scale multiple seven-figure brands. Now, that same team and process is available to help you build, grow, and scale your Amazon business. This is not a course. It's not a DIY program. It's done for you Amazon growth handled by proven experts. We handle everything from listing optimization and SEO to PPC, inventory, catalog management, promotions, review strategy, compliance, and new product launches. So you can focus on running your business while we handle the rest. If you're ready to turn your Amazon channel into a profit machine, visit the link in the show notes, calendly.com/firingtheman/Amazon, and book a time to see if this is a good fit for you.
Welcome everyone to the Firing the Man podcast, a show for anyone who wants to be their own boss. If you sit in a cubicle every day and know you are capable of more, then join us. This show will help you build a business and grow your passive income streams in just a few short hours per day. And now your hosts, serial entrepreneurs David Schomer and Ken Wilson.
Welcome to Firing the Man, the podcast for entrepreneurs, business builders who are ready to grow beyond the hustle and step into ownership that truly scales. I'm your host, David Schomer, and today's guest is someone who's built systems and strategies to help businesses elevate fast. Meet Perrin Monker, principal at RevAscension.io, a leading growth agency that drives measurable revenue through tech-enabled frameworks, smart sales funnels, and powerful automation. With a background in sales strategy, process systems, data analytics, and CRM tools, Perrin is passionate about turning good businesses into growth machines. He spent years fine-tuning outreach strategies, mastering cold messaging, and building streamlined pipelines that don't just operate, they excel. Bringing a blend of technology, psychology, and scalable systems, Perrin helps ambitious entrepreneurs and e-commerce operators break free from the manual grind and architect growth. Today, we'll dive into how he crafts elite offers, leverages automation to scale client growth, and builds repeatable systems that free operators from the day-to-day. Get ready. This episode will challenge how you think about business development and show you just how scalable your hustle can become. Perrin, welcome to the show.
It's good to be here, man. Appreciate you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So to start things off, can you share with our audience a little bit about your background and path in the entrepreneurship world?
Yeah, it starts way back when. So I've been blessed. My biggest role model in life is my father. He's been an entrepreneur his entire life. So growing up, I've seen, that entrepreneurial spirit and kind of business hustle. So from a young age, it was kind of ingrained in me. But like many people, I fell into the path of, going to college, doing that corporate sort of path. Quickly was so unhappy. And throughout that entire process, tried efforts to break away from that sort of cage that many of us probably feel like we're in, and started with drop shipping. Actually, that was the first sort of business that I had tried to launch. Not the best venture, but I believe failures you learn a ton from. Ended up in the crypto space for a little while. Another failed venture, but again, learned so much. And eventually found myself at a startup company, which focuses on go-to-market strategies, lead generation, and building sales funnels for other B2B businesses. After about a year of time there, really just so interested in the psychology behind what makes a person act or move in a B2B business sense, and decided to kind of deploy those strategies and my own kind of twist and approach to it into what we do now, which is, go-to-market strategies, lead generation, and sales funnel execution for a variety of different B2B businesses.
Very nice, very nice. And would you say your sweet spot is email marketing?
Yeah, email marketing, and more specifically, the cold email approach. Email marketing encompasses consumer messaging, B2B messaging. We definitely focus on that B2B side, cold marketing, cold email marketing in the B2B realm.
Okay, very nice. So just for our listeners, cold email is going to be somebody who's never heard from you before and who needs an introduction to the topic and what's being discussed. Is that a fair representation of cold
that is
email?
very fair, and it is. There's many other channels that people are very familiar with, and really old school. Someone knocking on your door, trying to, hey, like your yard's overgrown. You didn't ask them to be there, but they tried to target you because you had a problem. Your yard's overgrown. At the end of the day, we want to be helpful. I think cold has a negative connotation or almost a stigma to it. But yeah, you're totally right. They don't know who you are. They might be aware they have a problem, but we determine a person, a stranger, who we can help. And we want to reach out and let them know that, hey, we can help you.
Very nice, very nice. And I actually met you through a mutual friend and client of yours who, when I talked to him, he said, yeah, I've been working with Perrin for a while, and you've been doing an awesome job on getting their calendars booked with sales calls. And so I'm curious, what's the secret sauce that makes your outreach work well?
That's a really good question. I really believe not in all the bells and whistles, but a really good foundation to any sort of marketing campaign. So when I first started doing this for all types of businesses, it's really easy to get lost in the sauce of, oh, I need the coolest automation, the coolest tech, the fastest software. And we really peeled back the layers, or I have over thousands of different implementations and iterations of what makes a good cold messaging. And I believe it is the fundamental offer that you go to market with. For example, I have a lot of people who, part of my client base, my partner base, and they sell advertising services, right? They take a product, they create ads for it, and they're like, hey, I'm an advertiser for, e-commerce products. That's great, but it's not a good offer. And what I mean by that is it doesn't communicate a business outcome. It doesn't communicate a transformation. All you're doing is telling someone who you are and what you do. And we want to flip the framework and really position, your prospect or your potential client as the center of everything, and build an offer that screams a business outcome that they care about. So you're no longer an advertiser. Hey, I do advertising for people like you. You are, I deliver this result for you. So that's really been the framework. We try to step back and peel back. The secret sauce is at the very beginning, the strategy you build, the offer you come up with, and the core principle that you go to market with.
Okay, that makes a ton of sense, and to me that really speaks a lot to the messaging side of things, and let's stay in that lane for a little bit on the messaging side of things. What are the mortal sins of email marketing? Are there what do we want to definitely avoid for those people implementing this in their business?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and to try to keep it grounded in the core offer, what are the mortal sins? Number one, it's the belief that you are doing something that no one else is doing. I have a lot of people who kind of fail to recognize that there is competition. And it's almost a too close-minded of an approach when it comes to strategy. I think there's a ton of benefits to looking at your competitors, seeing how other people position themselves, and really get an idea for how many other sharks are in the water, right? So a mortal sin is to avoid looking at your competitors and almost approach things with a little bit of an ego. We want to be humble when we come up with, go-to-market strategies. And that is one of the most important things to do is look at the competition, see what other sharks are in the water. Another one is to, fail to understand your customer. I think a lot of ambitious business owners I talk to believe that they already know what their customer wants. things change all the time, market trends, new problems, new technologies come out, especially in the e-commerce space. I mean, Meta ads are always changing. Google ads, now we have AI, search engine, yada, yada, yada. What your customer wants changes over time. And, I always ask my partners to, kind of shatter their current belief and let's explore what your customer wants together from step one. So those are the two biggest things. And it's kind of funny. It all goes back to not thinking that you know it all, stripping back the belief that, hey, you are the smartest person in the room, and let's put your customer first. Let's understand the world they live in. Let's understand the articles, the content they absorb. Let's understand, what people are saying on places like G2, what kind of reviews they're leaving, what kind of YouTube content's being posted. Let's understand the world they live in to come up with a message that they care about. That's also centered around the other messages that they're getting bombarded with on a daily basis. So let's look at the competitors and let's live in your customer's world. So the biggest sin is to not do that, right? And to build it from a perspective of, this is what I have and what I think is cool about our current product. We want to completely, run around that. Let's go to where your customer is and let's live and breathe their world for a little bit.
Very nice. And to me, that's a really, really good answer on the messaging side of things. And I'm glad that you pointed out those mortal sins. Now, when I think about this, there's kind of two components, right? There's the messaging, and then there's the who. Who are we sending this to? And what are some cold email strategies in terms of like generating lists or finding a relevant audience to send your offer to?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I have a total cheat code, which I'll try to share in just a moment. Focus on principles first. Generally, you want to talk to a decision maker. I think that is pretty obvious, and a lot of outreach specialists will go right to the decision maker and skip all that kind of ladder, climbing up the ladder. There's different decision makers for different sizes of companies and different services you might provide. For example, a new startup, you can get a hold of the owner and founder 10 times out of 10. However, a more established e-commerce business, you might want to go to the CMO or, the e-commerce manager, depending on what you might want to be selling to them. Now, to go and determine like who should I go and email? Who should I reach out to if I want to sell what it is I'm selling? And you want to reverse engineer your service or product first, right? And it goes, okay, what problems do I solve? Say, for example, let's take, conversion rate as, the core benefit of your solution or service. We kind of want to think about, okay, well, who cares about conversion rate? It's obviously the owner and the founder, obviously, but it's going to be a lot of people in the marketing and analytics roles who are, looking at the website on a day-to-day basis, driving traffic to the website. And those in many different businesses are great decision makers to reach out to, if they're at a certain level. Now, obviously, never reach out to interns or brand new people at a company. I think that always ends up being a waste of time. But we can determine, roles within companies are typically referred to as personas in the list building and prospecting realm, building a persona of who is likely to be a decision maker and likely to receive your messaging in a positive manner, that is relevant to them. Now, these prospecting tools have been really amazing. I'm sure, David, you might have heard of Apollo. A lot of people who are entrepreneurs have tried outreach to some degree themselves. They've heard of tools like Apollo, Sales Navigator, Hunter.io, Snob.io. I mean, there's millions of tools. And what makes list building even better is to, incorporate data into your approach. So say we've determined a persona. The next thing you want to do is similarly reverse engineer your offer and infer who is a good fit for your offer. Let's take the same example, CRO. Who might infer beyond persona, who can we infer would be a good fit to sell CRO services to? Well, that would be people with website traffic. That would be people that are running a lot of advertising on Google and Meta. Now, this can encapsulate a large number of the e-commerce world, but you can set metrics. Maybe you're like, I need to see 50,000 monthly website visitors on a website to even offer my CRO to. We can go and target those people with like data metrics. Look at companies first, pull how much monthly website visitors they have, and now we can infer, hey, this is a pretty good fit to sell and market our CRO services to. Now let's go find the personas at that company and really build out a prospect list. So at a high level, that's the general approach. Again, it like comes to trying to think about the customer first, right? Like taking your service and kind of reverse engineering it. What's the result? Who might care about this? What are good company profiles that kind of would need or want my service? And then going out and building those lists. Now, I had mentioned that there is a little cheat code, and this has been, one of my back pocket secret sauces for a long time when it comes to finding data on e-commerce businesses, as it's a database that's always updated every time a new Shopify store is added, every time a new WooCommerce, BigCommerce, all that stuff. It's a database called Store Leads. So a lot of this information or this brief example I shared about, okay, well, let's look at website visitors. A tool like Store Leads can find every single Shopify website that's active, past, and be able to pull that information for you too, so that you can better infer who is a good fit for your product. So in a nutshell, you kind of got to think about the customer first, peel back the layers to your offer. And I think I kept saying it, infer. You have to be a little bit loose in your prospecting because when it comes to outreach, it is going to be a volume game. And so if you go and build a list, try to think about the data as less of a black and white metric and more so, hey, how can we use this data to infer or make sure that something is likely to happen from this subset of people? And so that's really the general approach that I recommend to building any list.
I like it. And thanks for including that, what did you call it? The
cheat code.
The cheat code. I love it. I love it.
That's a good one. You guys will thank me later for that. It's quite powerful.
Awesome. No, that's really, really helpful. Now, for someone who's running email marketing on their own right now and is curious whether they're doing a good job at it, you had mentioned it's a volume game. What types of analytics are you looking at, or what types of metrics are you looking at to say this is a successful campaign? We had X amount of open rates, or what is your criteria for a successful campaign?
That is another amazing question, and I'm going to try to blow everyone's minds real quick because there are a lot of what we call vanity metrics in the cold email world. So everyone likes to look at open rate for some reason. I'll tell you straight up right now, it's a bullshit metric. Do not use it and do not look at it to measure the success of any campaign. Now you're like, oh, well, Perrin, how can I do that? It's going to let me know how deliverable my emails are because I'll know how many people are opening them. No. It's a vanity metric. The way open tracking is logged is with what are called pixels in the emails. Pixels can be automatically fired if they go to certain email servers. They can be fired multiple times if someone opens an email from their iPhone and then their computer later on. And you'll find it's just an inflated vanity metric number. Along with that, if people are savvy in the cold email world, they'll know that an email is hyper deliverable if it's a raw HTML email. Now, that sounds like a whole bunch of mungo jungo. What the hell does that mean? It means that there are no links, there are no images, and there are no pixels in my emails, no embedded files. It is a raw text email. So by including open tracking, not only are we getting vanity metrics, but we're also double-edged sword hurting our deliverability by including pixels and not sending raw text emails out. So when we talk about KPIs, I want everyone to never look at open rate again. Seriously, I know it can be tempting, but we can infer from other data pieces how truly deliverable our emails are. Now, that's probably the worst metric. So let me talk about like some of the best metrics that you want to look at. Number one is going to be what we call EPL, or email per lead. Better described as how many emails do I need to send to generate a positive response. You'll find in many cold email softwares, this is not often tracked. It's kind of a statistic we've almost made up ourselves. It doesn't take a genius to determine that's a very important metric, but that's really what you want to look at. How many emails do I need to send that generate a positive response? So that is our favorite metric to determine, hey, is my messaging pretty good? Are we doing all right? Another really important KPI to look at is reply rate. Now, replies, you're going to get a whole bunch of replies if you start sending out campaigns. You're going to get stuff like, oh, this sounds amazing. Let's hop on a call. You're going to get emails that say, dude, please effing stop emailing me. Take me off your list. Unsubscribe. But reply rate is a really good way to determine deliverability, right? When you think about managing a cold email campaign, you want to make sure you're getting responses, obviously, and you also want to keep an eye on deliverability. So if open rate is a vanity metric that hurts our deliverability in the end, we want to use just overall reply rate as a good baseline number to, hey, am I getting enough responses to guess and be like, hey, okay, my deliverability is not too bad. So if I could only look at two pieces of data at any cold email campaign to determine, hey, things are going pretty good or are they going pretty bad, I would look at EPL and I would look at reply rate. So, and I would absolutely never, ever even consider thinking about open rate.
I like it. And what you're saying about the open rate, that does make sense. And I will also share with you that I have been holding open rate in pretty high regard over the last couple of years, and what you just said changes that. And so one point I want to ask you about, so you're mentioning that the best form of email is a blank text HTML formatted file. I would assume most of these have a call to action where they're booking a sales call. And so how do you navigate that?
Yeah, so that talks about formula of, copywriting. So like copywriting is the art and the science of putting together messaging that elicits a response, right? In a sales scenario and in a business scenario. So CTA is a big part of that. In fact, if I could simplify the copywriting formula down to three pieces, it looks like this. It is your hook, it is your offer statement, and it is a CTA. Those three things must exist in every single copy. And you gotta take that seriously. You gotta understand, okay, how can I hook someone? How can I communicate my offer? And how can I get an action out of them? So you asked about CTA. That's arguably the most important thing. There's been many cases where you can have a very good messaging, very good subject line, hyper deliverability, but you ask the wrong question or implicit the wrong action at the end of the email, and you're going to get results for crud. So I'll tell you guys right now what I think is like a big misconception in cold email and outreach, and I've seen this a ton, and I kind of want to have the chance right now to kill it and stop anyone in the future for ever doing this. It is the difference between an interest-based CTA and a time-based CTA. So I'll talk first about a time-based CTA and what that really means. And that's if at the end of an email, I ask you, hey, do you have 15 minutes next week to chat about this? Or, hey, what's your schedule looking like next week so we can get on a call and talk? It's a time-based CTA because you're asking someone to tell you their availability. You're asking someone to kind of shed light on what their time looks like. The other type of CTA is called an interest-based CTA. This is more so kind of grounded in curiosity, grounded in interest. And you kind of want to ask things like, well, hey, would you mind if I sent you more information about this? Or, how does something like this sound to you? Or would you be curious at all to hear more information about this? Millions of variations. The point is, one asks for interest, the other asks for time. Now, there's a funny thing about time. You've probably heard this before, David, but it's finite. It is not unlimited. And turns out busy decision makers, busy entrepreneurs, owners, they don't have a lot of time. So to ask for time is kind of a foolish thing to do. What you want to do is ask for interest, ask for curiosity, because unlike time, interest is an infinite resource, right? You can create that on demand if you have strong messaging, if you have a strong hook and strong offer. You can create something out of thin air. So as far as CTAs go, you always want to kind of position yourself in the realm of, hey, I want to engineer interest, engineer curiosity, and act upon that versus trying to call someone to action based on time. Because, hey, we're doing cold outreach to decision makers, guys. They're busy people. So stop asking for time. Stop asking for a call. Not only is it finite, but you're a stranger. They don't want to talk to you. I'm sorry.
I like it. That is really, I really like that point. And as you were saying it, I was thinking of some emails that I have read recently that have had that call to action on, hey, do you have time? And as someone who's very, very busy, my default answer is typically no. And so as you phrase it that way, that really makes a ton of sense. And so I think there's kind of like two camps of people here. There's going to be the DIYs, the people that want to go out and execute this on their own. And then there's going to be people who are interested in working with a professional organization such as you. And so, to our DIY crowd, what's a good platform to do email marketing on? You hear a lot about Klaviyo kind of being the king, at least from my perspective. That has been what I've seen. Curious, what do you find there?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I want to first, again, clarify for people, if you are confused about what email marketing software you should use, determine if you want to email consumers or if you want to email B2B. Consumers, yeah, I've also heard Klaviyo is pretty good. But again, you're not selling services to business professionals using Klaviyo. You guys have probably heard of MailChimp, Sendinblue. I know a lot of CRMs have their own emailing capabilities like HubSpot, Pipedrive, Go High Level has its own even. But if you do want to generate B2B leads for your business with email marketing as the engine, there is no other answer than Instantly. Okay, they're not paying me for this. They're not paying me for any shout out. Trust me, I've used all the softwares. And Instantly is very good for a few reasons. Number one, it's specialized for cold outreach, right? There are a lot of nuances if you want to, send to B2B professionals and sell your services via email, right? You got to have deliverability on point. You have to have automation at scale. You have to manage many, many inboxes because there are some delicate tricks to delivering at a high rate, and I can share those in just a little bit. And Instantly is really like the all-in-one software that is absolutely killing it. Not only that, but if you look at the email marketing software space and especially in cold email software space, Instantly has all the funding behind it. Almost like 200% more, 300% more than its next best competitor. And you want to, in my opinion, if you're using software, position yourself behind the one that really has the thought leaders, that has the capital behind it. Because as technology becomes exponentially more and more, creative and fast, et cetera, you need to position yourself with a software that is also growing exponentially fast and growing with AI, growing with these other technologies and softwares. And Instantly is just, It's blown my socks off. If you want to do cold email and do it yourself, there is no other answer. Don't even waste your time looking.
You had mentioned a couple tactics about deliverability and navigating that space. So what does that look like?
Yeah, I think, and it can get complicated, so guys, so buckle up here for a second. Deliverability really stems from volume, first and foremost. Or we talk about what is a high deliverable email engine. And the only kind of comparison I can make it is we want to do a little bit from many different places. We want to have one account working for us, very tiny, and do a ton of accounts. So we call that scaling horizontally, not vertically. So in cold email, you obviously have an email that you send from. One email should not exceed 10 or 15 emails a day. I think like the biggest deliverability funk or flump, whatever that people do is they'll go by and set up one email account and they'll send thousands or hundreds of emails from that one email account. And that is one of the worst ways to have high deliverability, because these ESPs, so that would be your Google, your Yahoo, your Outlook, the number one metric they look at to determine if you are abusing your email for spam purposes is your volume. So do not get one email account and send all your volume from it. I want you to get an army of email accounts, and they're all going to do a little bit, right? That is, in the most simple way I can explain it, the best way to increase your deliverability is have an army of email accounts all marching 1 foot per day. We do not want to have one guy running the marathon on a day-to-day basis. It'll absolutely crush and burn your reputation with those email providers.
Okay, very nice, very nice. And you had said that caps out at around 15 a day is what you want to limit that to?
So, different people have different methodologies. Some people like to push it up to 25. Some people keep it low as 5 per day. I think there's a big conversation to be had about cost, right? So the more emails you have, the more expensive it is. If you've messed with cold email before, it's an absolute pain to have a whole bunch of burns, because downtime, it takes about 4 weeks to get an email that was burned once to get its replacement up and firing again. So there's the conservative kind of group of people who's like, hey, I want to basically get a whole bunch of emails, never worry about their deliverability ever again, and not push their volume threshold very high. That is a camp I actually tend to be in myself, because it is a pain to replace domains, and every time you replace a domain, you have to buy a new domain. It just becomes a headache, and it's costly if you're dealing with a lot of burns. Now there are people who hey, it does not matter to me the cost of email domains, because it's marginal compared to the profit I'm going to get from a new customer. So in that case, they're like, I want to buy a crap ton of domains, and I want to push them till they burn. And when they burn, we're just going to buy more. That's a fine school of thought too. There's literally no problem with that, except the just complications and, work of having to replace stuff and understanding that your costs are a little more erratic. And, that can be enough of a turnoff for a business owner. There are the more conservative, cost-minded, and then there's the setting fire ablaze. Let's just burn it all and push it till it's dead, and we'll just get new ones after that. Now, like I said, that is a little bit riskier, and it's a fine strategy. It's not necessarily one I recommend, because there's one ever-moving piece of motion in the background, and that is cybersecurity. That is, security protocols, et cetera, et cetera. And who knows how smart this stuff is going to get in the long run. Who knows if, in 5 years, you buy a new domain and for an entire year you have to warm it up. Or, that lead time from 4 weeks becomes up to a year. Who knows what it's going to look like in the future? We do know that over the last 2 years, that volume threshold point has been rapidly decreasing. When I first started cold email 5 years ago, you could send 50 emails a day, 50, from every single email account. The recommended number I just said a couple minutes ago was 15. That's like a massive decrease. So over time, we don't know how strict those rules are going to get. There's another factor that the ESPs, email service providers, use to determine, hey, this guy's good. He passes all the green flags. Like, let him send emails as he wishes. And that is age of a domain, age of an email. For example, if I created a new cold email account today, it's got an age of 1 day years old. It's an infant. It's a baby. If I had one that's been around for 2 years, that's a mature, that's someone we can trust. That's someone with a reputation with us. And so I think if you're on the more riskier side, just know that although now it's not too punishing, we don't know how punishing it'll become in the future if you're constantly trying to use infant domains to send, and really pushing that threshold as far as you can go. So those are the two schools of thought when it comes to general volume per email account. I'm not going to recommend one or the other. I just happen to be in the conservative camp.
Very nice, very nice. And I've never heard it explained that way, but that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. And I think this is one of the reasons why you would want to work with a professional in the industry, is as things change from 50 to 25 to who knows what in the future, I think staying ahead of that makes a lot of sense. So, Perrin, before we get in the fire round, I would like to talk to you about the type of clients that you work with and what's your sweet spot in terms of business owners looking to build out their B2B email outreach.
Yeah. So for me, number one, I love kind of open-minded, motivated business owners. In a weird way, like, yes, I'll talk about industry in a moment, but for me, it's an attitude and understanding where, hey, let's strip back your ego and let's learn how to go to market together. I think it's really tough to do sales, outreach, and a lot of strategy. Like, a lot of people forget how much strategy it takes to come up with a good outreach campaign. If they are already lock solid in their beliefs and won't let us challenge that at all. That's number one. Number two is a lot of our clients actually do work with e-commerce businesses. So, we do probably 70 to 80% of all of our work is generating business leads in e-commerce. So this is typically service providers, a slew of marketers. This is SaaS companies, cybersecurity companies, and it is people who are trying to get a hold of e-commerce businesses. Like, hey, I work with a lot of coffee companies. I want to help more coffee companies make amazing content. And those are the types of people that we go out and help, or performance marketers, or et cetera, et cetera. So that's the realm we're in. When we talk more about, like, what is someone who's like just completely primed to go ballistic on outreach and really fill up their calendars, we love to see proof of success. One thing I believe strongly in business is case studies. It's proof that you are who you say you are. And it's so powerful to tell a stranger an amazing offer and be like, oh yeah, and we can back it up because we did it for someone who's just like you before. So I love seeing case studies as well. So in a nutshell, someone who is open to shattering their beliefs and their current go-to-market strategy, someone who has case studies, and someone selling to e-commerce. That's really kind of our sweet spot.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, this has been a really, really fun interview. Before we wrap up, I would like to get into the fire round. This is 4 questions we ask every guest at the end of the show. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All
deal
right.
or no deal? Deal.
Here we go. What's your favorite
Suitcase number 14.
That's right. What's your favorite book?
Favorite book? I'm going to say Ender's Game. Ooh. It is. I'm a huge sci-fi fantasy guy. And my grandfather, I remember being young, he's like, you have to read this book. And it's all about strategy and manipulation and war tactics, but in an alien and sci-fi realm. And blew my socks off when I read it. Highly recommend if you're into sci-fi.
Very nice. I read that one back in high school and really, really enjoyed it. You have to break that back out again. So next question, what are your hobbies?
Hobbies. So I come from a music background and a sports background growing up. I actually, before I got into all the nerdy stuff and psychology and sales I'm in now, I used to be a music producer and a sound engineer. So when I do have free time, I love to try to get back into some tracks and really peel back the science behind, what makes music sound good. I think if I could center it all, I'm a nerd. I'll happily say that. I'm a nerd. Anything I want to do, I try to study it pretty deeply. And that's something that I love. I also love to, the older I get, the harder it is, but I love to stay active. Playing basketball was always been a love of mine, and I'll take any chance I can get to get out there. I happen to, go to a gym that Michael Jordan used to train on. And so it's really fun to get out there. You kind of feel, I don't know, like you could be Michael Jordan if you just spend enough hours here, right? So as far as hobbies go, those the nerdy stuff rules my life and it gives me a lot of joy. And I love to be out and about, try new food, travel, all this stuff. But if I could be what brings me joy, it's learning, being a nerd, and getting into those things.
Cool, very nice. Number 3, what is one thing you do not miss about working for the man?
That is, I really do not miss, really 2 things. Number 1 is I always felt there was a competition. Who could work longer? I'm a results oriented. I'm results first. I really believe in work smart versus working long. And it really felt like a competition to me. And I think work should be enjoyable. I think that's why anyone who starts their own business kind of has this belief where hey, I want to create the life for myself. I want to chase my dreams. I want to, be who I want to be. And time being finite, kind of backing on that old conversation, if the work and the man kind of constricts that time, it's really frustrating. And that was something that I desperately wanted to get out of. So yeah, that's probably the number 1 thing. And I'll hang my hat on that.
That checks out. And last question, what do you think sets apart successful entrepreneurs from those who give up, fail, or never get started?
Yeah, I think, number 1, you just have to be okay with failure and embarrassment. It's really persistent. I think if you really look at all the entrepreneurs, there are obviously geniuses, but a lot of people are really, first and foremost, they believe in themselves and they're persistent. Failure, I touched on it so briefly when we first started this conversation. You have to be okay with failure. You have to be able to learn from your mistakes, and you're going to be so good. Just believe. It's really belief in who you are. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to be embarrassed. Talk about that stuff. I think a lot of people hesitate to act. They wait for that perfect shot. In fact, I saw an animation a while ago talking about this. Imagine there's moving shields in front of your face. And there are 2 people moving shields in front of your face, and on the other side is a target. On the other side is you with a bow and an arrow, and there's someone next to you. And one of the 2 archers is waiting for the perfect moment when the shield is out of the way. The other archer is constantly firing. He's hitting the shield. He's missing the target. He's doing all this stuff. And guess who was the first one to hit the target? The one who kept trying and failing over and over again. So I think that's really it. Is be ready to fail. Be okay with taking on debt. Be okay with embarrassment. Be okay with sacrificing a social life. Because life is what you make it. You get out what you put in. So put in effort.
Outstanding. Well, Perrin, this has been a really good interview. If people are interested in getting in touch with you, what's the best way?
The best way to get in touch is to obviously send me a cold email. I'm kidding. You can head over to revascension.io. That is REV ascension.io. From there, we have, just my personal calendar integrated onto our website. And that's really the best way to come and speak with me. We personally don't send too much website traffic over. We really have all of our traffic come from email directly, kind of hilarious. But, that's a great place to get a hold of me and just have a chat. And so I can hear a little bit more about your business and see, hey, maybe you should use cold email.
There we go. All right. Well, Perrin, this has been an outstanding podcast and looking forward to staying in touch.
Yeah, absolutely, Dave. I appreciate the time today.
Before you go, we wanted to share a new service that Ken and I have been using called Getita that has made us over $10,000 in Amazon reimbursements. The service requires no monthly subscription, and Getita collects a small percentage of the money they recover for you. It takes less than 5 minutes to set up and works on all Amazon marketplaces. Go to Getita.com, Getida.com, and enter promo code FTM400. That's FTM for Firing the Man 400 to get your first $400 in reimbursements commission free. How much money does Amazon owe you?